All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Dimes and Donuts podcast, your deep dive into the BAAD Owners Fantasy League. My name is Garrett.
And I'm Nick.
And today we have 0 trades, so we're just going to straight into the dimes. So for dimes, at quarterback, we have Justin Fields. CD's nuts.
Yeah.
He had 33 points.
Yeah, 4 passing touchdowns, which
is so weird. And
for
it's
Justin
funny
Fields.
because, I saw that matchup on paper and I was like, well, I'm not even going to watch this game. So, yeah, seeing everybody explode on Twitter about Justin Fields, which seems like it happens like 3 times a year.
Right.
And then everybody still realizes that he's not that great. So,
yeah, it'll be interesting to see because, he's a good fantasy quarterback, but it'll be interesting to see how long he sticks around dynasty-wise just because of the on-field product. So, anyways, congratulations to CD's nuts for 33 points. That's awesome.
Yeah, especially from the QB slot. All right, next we've got Travis Etienne on your team, the Plano Nukes, with 36.4. Did you watch that game?
Absolutely not. Way too early in the morning. I don't watch London games.
That game was so early, but it was really good. I was shocked to see the Bills get taken down.
Yeah, I think that it's really interesting right now. It's kind of like a tangent. NFL side, real life, a lot of the top teams are kind of feasting on each other. There's no clear, this is the guy. So, But what that means fantasy-wise, though, it translates to you can't always be like, oh, this is a really tough matchup. Pull my stud. Just start your studs, right? Put your best guys in and let's see what happens.
That's a really good point. All right, so next we've got Jamar Chase, who decided to show up this week in a big way, finally, for the Castle Rock Rockers with 52.2 points. Highest score we've had this year from a player. So
19 targets. That's insane.
Yeah. 19 targets. He posted on Twitter a picture of 7-Eleven because he's always open, and he's right.
There you go.
Just throw him the ball, he'll find it. Next, we've got George Kittle at tight end, although you did not start him.
I didn't.
A Polo Nuke with 27.7 points. I can't imagine you had a better tight end to start.
TJ Hawkinson. And so that's kind of the slight double-edged sword of George Kittle, TJ Hawkinson. TJ Hawkinson did not perform better this week at all. But even now, TJ Hawkinson's the number 3 overall tight end. George Kittle's the number 6. I just so happen to have a stacked tight end room. It's a coin flip each week.
Got it. All right, so next at defensive line, somebody off waivers, AJ Epinesa with 37 points.
Yeah, 2 sacks, 4 tackles off waivers. Someone's going to end up picking him up, I'm sure. It's just going to be how much someone will spend fab on him. So that could be a good waiver wire pickup for someone who needs some defensive line help, unless it ends up being a bit of a fraud, and it just happened to be a good week for him.
Agreed. Yeah, defensive line can be tricky sometimes. Next at linebacker, we've got Fred Warner, another Plano Nuke. That's the third one. Second one started with 34 points. If anybody watched this game, they know why he got 34 points.
Yeah,
he was all over the field. He just pops off the screen. That linebacking core there is incredible, and he's a huge part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. 8 tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, and an interception. Whoa.
Swiss Army knife, for sure, which is what you want out of your linebacker. Okay, and then at DB, not started, another waiver, Greg Stroman with 29 points. DBs, when they get crazy numbers like this, I always just think that it's, flash in the pan stuff. But who knows?
Yeah,
somebody could pick him up and he could be really good.
This one especially, I think, more so than the AJ Epinesa, right? This is kind of his second pop-off of the season, so maybe that's a breakout season. Not the case with Greg Stroman. He had a 7 tackle, 1 sack, 1 interception game. Great game, but he doesn't have a history of it. He's 27. I know.
Yep, good point. Next, we've got Aaron Jones of the Trash Fires as our only donut of the week. So, he was questionable heading into Monday. Just, did not look at your app come game time, which is going to happen.
That's the unfortunate thing about having a Monday night game, right? Because if your player gets ruled out, you may not have another positional player that's playing that Monday night game to swap them in for, which... That's why, when it's
flex spots, kids.
Exactly. It's tough, and I think that's exactly the problem. I think he was in the running back slot for the Trash Fire, so hopefully that's not a mistake that they're going to make multiple times.
Yep.
And in fact, no, he was in fact in the flex spot. I stand corrected. So
I think we just chalked this one up to not looking at it, but yeah, it is what it is. Okay, so our matchups of the week. We had the Play-Doh Nukes absolutely dominating CD's Nuts, beating him by more than 100 points, 353.98 to 253.4. Crazy matchup there. Next, we had the Irving Indica going up against No Robbins. Both teams scoring more than 300 points. The highest scoring week of the Irving Indica season so far. Hopefully that's a trend and they bounce back from that. After only being projected 238 to start the week. That's really, really good. Do you want to go through the next few?
Yeah, Atlanta Cicadas with 281.08 points to just barely miss the median and to dominate Point Break FC, who was only able to put up 241.4 points. Followed up with the Trash Fires. Again, a crazy matchup with the Dallas Clovers winning it with 270.02 points, beating the Trash Fires, who were only able to put up 218 points. Maybe some alarm bells going off there over the Trash Fires, with two back-to-back pretty poor scoring weeks. And then finally, fifth matchup of the week, Castle Rockers, 281.44 balls to TD11 Tudgaze, one of the strongest teams in the league, that put up 338.5 points.
Yeah, I mean, all around, I think we're starting to see how the league is going to shape up. Once you're through 10 games, I mean, it's going to be hard to climb back. But, there is still room. There's still a lot of time in the season. But we're definitely seeing some teams pull away, and the bottom teams are definitely, showing who they're going to be as well. So, all right, our standings. Let's go into that. So, at number 1, we've got the Plano Nukes. Still at 8-2. Then we've got the TD11 Tudgaze at 7-3. The No Robbins at 6-4. The Nuts at 6-4. Atlanta Cicadas and the Trash Fires both at 5-5. The Point Break FC and Dallas Clovers both at 4-6. The Castle Rock Rockers at 9 at 3-7. And the Irving Indica still at the bottom at 2-8.
Did you expect the standings to look like this going into the season?
Going into the season, no. I definitely didn't see No Robbins being that high, and I definitely didn't see myself being this low. I think those are the two biggest surprises for me. But, we still take it week by week.
Yeah, and what a fall from grace for Irving Indica especially. Of course, your team is much lower than anticipated, but I don't think that it's as panic mode. I think you're still putting up reasonable points. You just, sometimes it just makes that way. You've had a few down weeks, but Irving Indica was
injuries too, man.
100%. But we were talking about last week. Irving Indica was last year some people's choice to win it all, and now they can't even squeak. Aside from this week where they put up 30% points and unfortunately still lost, they're just not putting up wins.
Yeah, no, I had them going pretty far. Irving Indica are definitely the biggest shock, I would say. All right, let's jump into the power ranking. So, this week at number 1, we do have a shift for the first time in weeks. We are putting the Plano Nukes at number 1. I think it's justified.
I appreciate it. I think that it's still a 1A, 1B situation.
Oh my God, yeah. This is the Eagles and the 49ers in the NFC. They're both really good. Everybody knows it. And they're on a collision course. And you guys are on that collision course. You just won the head-to-head matchup 2 weeks ago. And had a slightly better week this week. Even though you guys were both amazing. So, for me, it was easy. And then we've got the TD11 Tudgaze, like we alluded to, at 1B, really at 2. Then next, we've got the CD's Nuts, jumping the Trash Fires from last week, all the way up to 3, which is awesome. Love that for CD's Nuts. And then No Robbins coming in behind them. Shocked that they're this high, but they deserve it. And then next, rounding out the top 5, we've got the Trash Fires. Anything crazy there? I think it's self-explanatory.
Honestly, I think the biggest thing is that it looks like out of these top 5 teams that we just mentioned, 4 of them are on their way up, and 1 of them is unfortunately on their way down, and that's the Trash Fires. I'm curious to see if the Trash Fires are able to have like a turnaround. It's obviously still super early in the season.
Yep.
It's only week 5, but
they still have a 500 record, right?
Exactly,
So
100%.
they gave themselves enough of a cushion to have some down weeks, so I think they can definitely come back. Oh, and rounding out our playoff picture right now, we also have the Atlanta Cicadas dropping just 1 spot. Not really because of anything they did poorly, mainly just because other teams did really, really well. So yeah,
exactly.
Atlanta Cicadas sitting at 6. And then the bottom 4. Next, we've got Point Break staying at 7, Rockers staying at 8, Clover staying at 9, and the Indica staying at 10. So the bottom 4 have stayed exactly the same, and these are the 4 worst teams in the league right now. Makes total sense.
Which is, it's still so shocking. Okay, so here's my question to you.
Yeah.
Out of these bottom 4 teams, which do you think has the best chance of, over the next few weeks, kind of turning it around and becoming a strong playoff contender going into the back half of the regular season?
You know, I don't know. I want to say I don't think it's the Clovers, so I can write them off. I just don't think that their projected points are anywhere near what a top team needs to be.
Right.
The Indica, I think, can. My only problem with the Indica is that their projected points seem really low this year. So I don't know if they've got like major injuries or if they traded away some of their pieces from last year, but I don't know. I would say it's probably Point Break most likely to break through. And then second most likely would be the Rockers, I think.
Okay. That's interesting. I definitely think Point Break is a strong contender. I've been saying since the start.
Yeah.
But I think out of the bottom 4 teams, you're the clear favorite to turn it around. If for no other reason, just your personnel. I mean, you've got some
Listen, I would
high-scoring
think
players.
so, but yeah, I mean, I'm sitting here and I'm losing a week that Jamar Chase drops 52 in. So, you know, it's just one of those things where at some point, got to listen to the record, and I have to see how the team's performing. But yeah, I think it's close. It was a toss-up between Point Break and myself. I just gave it to Point Break because, I don't know, in terms of quarterback rooms, mine looks like maybe the worst in the league right now. Daniel Jones has really, really taken a step back, even in terms of fantasy production. He's only had 1 good week this year. Deshaun Watson is still not the Deshaun Watson that I thought that he was going to be. And Matthew Stafford is old, and even though he, you know, puts up numbers, they're never on the ground, so I can never account for, like, you know, that big Justin Fields pop-off. The only way he's going to score 20 points is if he has, like, 5 touchdowns. So, yeah, it's tough, but, you know, we will persevere.
Okay, so on the flip side, out of the top 4 teams, which do you think are the biggest, hey, you know, I'm kind of got lucky to get here, I don't know if I really deserve to be here?
I would have said Trash Fires, but now that they're technically a top 5 and not 4 team, I guess I'll go with No Robins.
Okay.
I know they've been putting up a lot of numbers, and I'm going to eat a lot of crow from like my first few weeks of this podcast, just trashing them. But I still think that everything that I said stands. If you just look at the roster, go down. I do not think that it's that incredible, you know? I think they have like 5 really big power pieces, and then everything else is just on a week to week, and I think that they're just on a hot streak. So I would say No Robins is the one that's going to fall out. What do you think?
Yeah, so I definitely think it's CD's nuts. Yeah, so No Robins on the flip side, this is my reasoning. No Robins is the 3rd in points for, as well as max points for, which to me screams this team is legit.
Right.
And on the flip side, CD's nuts is...
Have you looked at CD's nuts roster? Like, just read.
100%.
You got Justin Fields, Christian McCaffrey, Cooper Kupp just came back, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra. I mean, they have an incredible lineup. Like, that offense is so good.
And I totally agree. On paper, I don't understand what's going on with the CD's Nuts team. They should be one of the best teams in the league. I completely agree. But the reality of the situation is they're currently 5th in points for, but 9th in max points for, which to me screams as you move along during the season, you are going to have serious depth issues. You're going to have serious issues retaining this sort of success in winning games. There's been a few games in which CD's Nuts has gotten a double win, beating the median and the matchup in relatively low-scoring fashion with like a 98% efficiency rate.
Can't be that low scoring if you hit the median, right? You're scoring more than half the league.
Sure, but it was like a 260-point game, which I totally agree.
Hey.
Like, it's a win is a win, 100%, and you can't take that away from them, and you shouldn't. But I think that out of these 4 teams, CD's Nuts is the ones who's not consistently putting up over 300 points, and it's going to be interesting to see if they can continue this success.
I think that's fair. I think we definitely need to watch both of those teams very closely going forward. I think that's pretty much it for me. I don't have any real like crazy hot takes. I think everything stayed pretty similar. Congrats on your first number 1 in the power rankings this year.
Yes, absolutely. I'm just happy that I'm able to hold on the number 1 slot in standings because, I mean,
those bye weeks, man.
It's so
huge
important.
Fantasy.
I would not have won last season without having a bye week.
I remember. Yeah, the bye week is close.
So, well, I think that pretty much wraps it up for this week. I mean, it's exciting. This is the part of this point of the season. I mean, obviously we have buys now. Last week was the first week of buys, which we didn't really touch on, but it's going to be interesting to see now going forward how teams are able to deal with bye weeks.
This is where we separate the wheat and the chaff, 100%. Like if your team does not have depth, you will be out of the game by week 10 for sure. So, yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Nick, do you have anything you want to say to sign off?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that if you're a top 4 team right now and your name's not the Plano Nukes, I have bad news for you. You're not going to win anyways, so just favor your best players.